In 2019, what is the breakthrough technology that the people you're working with have been adopting?
I guess probably the best way to answer that question is I don't think there's one particular piece of technology, but I think that a lot of people are jumping on video and adapting to video and finding their niche, and probably the people that are doing the best are the people that are portraying themselves as who they are.
The Digital Agent Podcast is sponsored, as always, by Bounce Coffee. Bounce Coffee is now home to an exclusive Australian blend coffee called Byron Blue. It's grown at the Emu Tree Paddock Plantation, and these guys produce less than 50 bags of coffee a year. So if you would like to try something different, we've got a code, Digital10. Log on to bouncecoffee.com, type in the code Digital10, and get 10% off your first order of Australian blend coffee or my favorite liquid speed extra high caffeine blend. That's bouncecoffee.com, code Digital10, making the world a better place one cup at a time.
I'm here with Matt Fay from Narrative Hub, a content marketing agency here in Brisbane. How you going, Matt?
Going good, Rob. Thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Okay, explain to us exactly what a content marketing agency is and what you guys have been up to.
Yeah, so I'm from Narrative Hub. I'm managing director of the business, and we're a content marketing agency based in Brisbane, as you mentioned, and we create visual images, videos, all sorts of media for distribution across social media, all digital platforms. And I guess why we sort of branded as a content marketing agency is we're not just photographers or videographers or things like that. We're an end-to-end marketing solution in the digital world. We do have a lot of real estate agent clients, but we don't specialise just in real estate. We have a few different clients, such as an e-commerce brand, like a clothing brand, a craft beer brewery. So thanks for the beer, appreciate that.
No worries, mate.
To settle the nerves, but we have a few different clients in different industries. So not just real estate.
In 2019, what is the breakthrough technology that the people you're working with have been adopting?
I guess probably the best way to answer that question is I don't think there's one particular piece of technology, but I think that a lot of people are jumping on video and adapting to video and finding their niche, and probably the people that are doing the best are the people that are portraying themselves as who they are, with a little bit of planning, to make a well-polished piece of content. But I think that's probably what's standing out is people who can make those well-polished pieces of content, but also advertise it effectively with Facebook ads. That's probably the two main things.
So we didn't plan this at all. This is entirely off the cuff.
Yeah.
Okay. We did a little bit of planning for this. So the people you work with who are doing video, not only real estate agents, but also, well, you mentioned the owner of a craft brewery. Are they doing things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I host a podcast for them called The Revel Brewing Show, so jump on and have a look at that if you're into craft beer.
Where can we find that?
You can find it on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and then on YouTube we have the full-length videos as well.
So, the Revel Brewing Co. REVEL?
Yeah, The Revel Brewing Show. So Revel Brewing Co. Bulimba is the brewery. And I think to go slightly off topic from real estate for a little bit, that's been like a big pillar of content for those guys. Every month we go in, we have a guest, we make a bunch of content and push it out over the month, and then we do photos for them. We did a cinema ad recently, so we do provide that end-to-end service for them, and it's been great to see their results. The podcast actually was ranked for the week last week the highest ranking Aussie craft beer podcast for last week. The rankings obviously change all the time, but that was the first time we hit number one, so that was pretty cool.
That is exciting. Now, do you star in that podcast as well?
I host it, so I'm probably going to actually end up talking more on this podcast than what I usually do. I just kind of try and ask the questions and steer it in a direction, but look, I guess it's just it's just a great medium to tell the story, and if you can be clever about it and do video as well with it, like what we're doing, you're just making a huge content bank for you to push out some great content.
Okay, so this is getting into a little bit about what your company does, and it sounds like you do quite a few things. So you mentioned video for real estate agents, and that's something that I'm really familiar with. And you mentioned video for the craft brewery, but you also help them with their podcast. And do you help them distribute their podcast as well?
All of that, yeah. So I do all the editing and distribution and any ads or anything like that behind that, so that we make sure it gets seen. That's why I mean it's an end-to-end solution.
Right. So when you say ads to make sure it gets seen, is that talking about designing something to go out there on the social media platforms to get people to click through to that podcast?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of people will like boost posts, things like that, and that's, to be honest, that's just the easiest way for Facebook to take money off you. It doesn't really allow you the targeting and audiences and that you should be utilizing. So we always promote each episode on Facebook and Instagram, but we do that like meaningfully.
He said the boost word, and as you might know from previous episodes, that is a no-no on this podcast. I really need to get like an air horn or an alarm for when people say that. Now, I know you said that just as an example of what not to do, but tell the audience from your perspective why the boost button is the worst idea if you're trying to get yourself out there.
Because I think that when you're doing Facebook ads, you need to have a strategy and you need to be quite targeted in what you do. Obviously, you can start with a wider audience and bring people in and get hyper targeted after that. But boosting to me is just spraying and praying. You just aren't using it to its full advantages. It's probably the best way I can explain it. You might think by selecting males age 18 to 40 in Brisbane that like beer or something is good. You might get some engagement, you might get some views on that, but you have so many different like even at the campaign level, you have all these different campaign objectives, and they can change. That can change and alter how much your ads are going to cost and who they're going to be seen by and things like that. So yeah, there's just so much more that you can do in that, and I just think if you're boosting, you're just I wouldn't say wasting your time, because it's good that you're having a go, but at the same time you could be doing so much more and you can be doing it so much more effectively.
Okay, talking about boosting your ads on Facebook is actually not where I was planning on going, so forget the program we were going to talk about, because I want to dive into this a little bit. Yeah. Rather than hitting the boost button, and as you said, sending it out to males who live within 5 kilometers of the brewery who like beer, what is an advanced level targeting that someone could use that we don't know about because we might not be on business.facebook.com, which is where you log into the advanced techniques. By the way, that's free. Anyone can log into there, but working it is kind of like driving a Ferrari. Your grandmother, if she got into it, probably wouldn't drive it like, I was going to say Dale Earnhardt, but that's an American driver reference. Isn't there a Brock guy?
Peter Brock.
Peter Brock, that's the dude. So tell us something that you can do with the high-level targeting that you guys do with Narrative Hub that the public might not know about.
Yeah. So I guess I'll try and just give you the whole box and dice as to what I think about all of that. So I'll take it back even a little bit further. So to go specific with real estate, the thing is, like, if you're not doing video now, you should be. Everyone says that you should be doing it. You listen to any of the real estate agent podcasts. Like I was listening with Tom Panos recently. I think it might have even been 2018 or even earlier this year. And he just talks about every listing like video non-negotiable. That's what you should be doing. I guess the thing is, people will say why video, why this and why that, and why I need to go back is I need to explain a couple of things. So you've got REA, realestate.com.
Realestate.com. We call it REA in the industry, and that's what the company calls itself.
And it's a mouthful to say that website every time I mention it too.
And if you say realestate.com, that's actually a US company. We would have to say realestate.com.au.
That's it.
Go on.
Perfect. So you think about REA. they've done an amazing job over the decades. I'm not sure exactly how long they've been around, but they've done a great job of making sure that they're like basically the Google search engine for homes. And obviously they've got different levels of different packages that you can have to be seen more than others and things like that.
Wait, I'm going to jump in a sec, because most of the public who's listening to this doesn't know this. Because if you're a member of the public, you can actually get on realestate.com with an ad, and you can sign up as what we call in the industry a FSBO, or for sale by owner, and you might pay $350 to get on realestate.com.au. But we agents would say, oh my God, never do that. Why? Because we're paying $1,300 to $2,500 to get you on there, and then guess what? You get seen. So, as you say, realestate.com has quite a number of packages, but it is definitely pay for play.
Yeah, 100%, and that's what social media is like too. It's pay for play. Like, gone are the days where you could put a post out there and everyone saw it. So that's why you need to be clever with your ads. So. So with real estate, with REA, they've done a great job of being that search engine for homes. So aside from obviously spending different amounts of money, you want to think, how can I make that listing stand out? So what do? You take really nice photos, don't you? So
absolutely.
That's again another non-negotiable. The next thing there is video. So can we make a really engaging piece of content, really engaging video that's going to get some going to get some engagement, going to get some attention once we put it up there. Now, we'd be silly then not to go and put that on Facebook. But once we go and put that on Facebook or Instagram or any other sort of placement, we also need to think about how we're then advertising that. Because like you said before, you can go the low end of the scale and just be there, or you can pay higher and get more value, and hopefully get more people through the door and things like that, get more interest, obviously get a better price for your property, right? So the same rule really applies on Facebook. Once you got that piece of content, we're going to make sure that once we're putting it out there, we're posting good copy like you would do on REA, that you're posting a good video, and then where the rubber really hits the road is making sure that we advertise that piece of content properly once it gets to Facebook.
Right, and when you say writing good copy, is that something that you guys do as well?
Well, we do that. We do that for some of our clients, but with real estate, I tend to not play with it too much, because that's really probably their job to word that how they'd like to word it. We sometimes have to alter and change and be more brief depending on like some ads that you put up, you're only allowed 3 lines of copy, so I'll take the best, like most engaging and most informative pieces out of that, and I'll put it in there. So
right, so you guys don't write the copy for real estate agents, but you optimize it for the social platforms to make sure the message is getting across.
Exactly, and that's part of it. We don't just take pretty photos and make a pretty video, because that doesn't serve anyone unless we're doing things right in the back end. Like I mentioned to you the other day, to me it's like buying a Lamborghini and not putting fuel in it. You could go, oh, I did video and it didn't work or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but what did you actually do with it once you made it? Did you just put it on Facebook and not advertise? Well, you didn't put fuel in your car, did you? Did you just hit the boost button? Well, you probably put crappy 2-stroke fuel in it instead of putting premium in it, which it deserves. So that's probably like sort of my point about that, and there's just once you're playing that sort of game, there's a lot of opportunities there. Like it's win-win opportunities for agents and their vendors for advertising on Facebook. So
getting back to the content itself of these videos, a lot of people are saying, hey, when I scroll Facebook for the 20 minutes a day I get hit by 20, 30 real estate videos. I hardly watch any of them. The market is getting saturated. What are you guys doing to make sure you get that cut through?
I think that you need to be putting out different kinds of ads. You need to be thinking about, for instance, like with a video. We're gonna go fairly wide with our targeting, because we want to get a lot of views and sort of get that video pumping. We don't want to spray and pray by any means, but yeah, we want to make sure that as many people who may potentially be wanting to buy that property see that video. And then when we retarget, if we keep hitting people with the same ads, obviously they're going to go, I've seen that or whatever. In saying that though, it does take many touch points before people buy any type of product. So we still do need to be getting ourselves in front of them along the way. But we won't just hit them with the video. We'll hit them with that's probably a bad way to put it, but
Get them.
Get 'em. But present the ad to them. We then use carousel ads and things like that, and that's where we can just use the photos or something like that, because they might have seen the video and gone, oh, I like this room or that room, but then they can actually, oh, here it is, here's that room, here's the dining room, here's the kitchen, here's the this, that, and whatever. And the other thing that again you've got minimal control over when you boost and do things like that. You can't control the frequency at which people see your ads.
That is important.
Yes.
Frequency. That's a buzzword. Pay attention.
Yeah, it is. It is important because, I get the shits when I'm on Facebook and I'm like, I've seen that ad 3 times today. I don't care if you send me an ad, because that's just doing advertising. I got respect for that. That's no problems. But if I'm seeing an ad every couple of days, well, they're just doing their job, and I'm like, good, tick. You're doing the right thing. No worries. If I see an ad 4 times a day, I'm like, report ad, like, you're just doing a crap job. No thanks.
Personally, as a high-level Facebook user that's on there all the time, I see someone's ad 15 times a day with their colors, and I'm just like, block all ads from this sender. I never want to see this again. Who wants to send an impression of a property to a 12-year-old kid?
Yeah, and it can be, and you know what? It can be just people having a go as well that are doing that, which I've got empathy for, because it's like, hey, good, you're having a crack. I respect that, but at the same time, they'll figure out themselves by their own consumption. They'll be like, oh, I've been sent this ad 6 times today. That's not right. And the thing is, when people talk about how expensive your ads are and things like that, well, guess what? Every time I've seen that ad that I'm not interested in, you're getting charged for it.
Yep.
So that's why within the boost thing, you don't really have you can't create custom audiences and retarget people, all that sort of thing, and you can't really keep an eye on that. With certain campaign objectives, I can actually choose how many times in a 7-day window a person will see my ad. I can get that targeted. And then for those objectives that I can't, I can at least monitor the frequency and, reduce the ad spend or put a different ad out there and things like that. So, yeah, there's so much that can be done. I just think that if all you can do or you know how to do is boost, great. But there's just a lot more that you can be doing.
If this is sounding incredibly complicated to you and you're wondering how the heck you're going to keep up, call this guy.
Just message me.
That's right. That's why he's there, because the people who are doing the next level are getting the message across, whereas everyone else is just getting scrolled by. So you actually said something to me before we started the podcast that a lot of people are going to find controversial, and I want to run it by you. You said likes and follows on your page are not that important.
Yes. I know. Shock horror. Shock horror.
Okay, yeah. Get this.
So I guess the theory behind that, and this is not something that I came up with. It's something that I spoke to a friend of mine who manages much more ad spend than I do. We're talking 5-6 figures a month for a very well-known e-commerce brand, and I always go to him when I need advice, because he's handling a ridiculous amount of ad spend, and I need to know what he's doing. You need to learn from the best. And I just sort of said to him, I'm like, I've got some pages that don't have that stupid exponential following, and he's just, and I'm like, is that an issue? And I said, because the way that I saw it was it doesn't really matter as long as when you're running your ads and things like that, they're effective. And he said, yeah, it's good to have an account that has 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 or more followers. That's great, but the reason that you build that following is so that you can engage with them, and then when you send ads to your audience, they're cost effective, and they're going to the right people. So to try and explain that as best as I can is, there was a time at the beginning of the decade where Facebook organic reach was amazing, and I've heard stories of people taking pre-workout, staying up to all hours of the morning to post every hour on Facebook, because there was no scheduling platform, and probably wasn't even an ads platform back then either, but you knew that every one of your followers saw what you were posting, right? Or just about everyone. So that was where the organic reach was ridiculous.
Wait. I'm going to break this down because there's some newbies listening to this. Can you talk about organic reach?
Yeah.
versus paid reach?
Yeah, yeah. So organic reach is basically you post something, you don't put any ad spend behind it, and that whatever reach you get, so however many people that you reach, that is your organic reach.
Now, we're just guessing, but on a business page, what would you guess the organic reach would be like on average?
It's yeah.
I'm putting
it's
you on the
it's-
spot.
Yeah, putting me on the spot. Look, I don't have the numbers on that, but it's pretty low.
Let me jump in
Just
and
so
say
you can
on
say.
my business page, I've got about 2,500 followers, and depending on how good the content I put on that business page is, if I put out something that's a real dud that's no one interested in, I would say my organic reach is maybe 10%. And if I put out something that is really exciting content that people find engaging, my organic reach can be up to about 30% of my total audience.
Yeah.
But that pales in comparison to the 30,000 people that you can reach with an inexpensive, well-targeted ad.
Exactly, and that probably brings me well into the next point of where, even though the organic reach might be minimal or decreasing, and on Instagram it's taken a bit of a hit recently.
People are dying because they don't have the self-esteem boost
Yeah, there's
from
no-
posting their bum on Instagram and getting the organic reach anymore.
Yeah,
Or at least I don't.
I've stopped posting photos of my bum because no one's liking them
No
anymore.
one's liking
I
it.
can't see if no one else can see if they've liked it or not because they're taking away the likes as well.
Now,
So-
they've done that in order to help monetize Instagram for themselves. Isn't that right?
In what way?
Well, they
you mean?
say it's for our digital health and self-esteem, but I don't believe that any corporation is out there looking after my health and self-esteem.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, it's just, yeah, I just don't think it means that much because I'll put a few scenarios to you, right? Like I'm in different Facebook groups and obviously chat to people about these things. And there's a post I saw ages ago on I forget what page it was, but it was like, oh, what can I do to get to 10K? I want the swipe up link on Instagram.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like they were going about it with like black hat tactics. Like when I say black hat, it's like bad marketing tactics. Like really just things you shouldn't do, like sneaky, underhanded things that will actually hurt you in the long run. So like buying likes and follows and things like that, effectively.
But you can buy likes.
Well, you can more or less buy a page that has 10,000 likes already and change your handle and go, this is Narrative Hub or whatever.
Is that what you did?
Well, I only got like 300, so no, I didn't do that.
Okay.
If I did, I got ripped off. But the thing is, the point I'm trying to make with that is like, you don't want to have 10,000 fake followers because what's going to happen when you send ads to them? They're not your audience anyway.
Absolutely.
So you're just wasting your money.
And Facebook sees, look, there's some companies out there, and I'm not going to name any names, but if you Google it and you look at how to buy likes on Facebook and Instagram, it's not expensive. You can probably buy a like for 3 cents. And they have many people in India and Pakistan and Thailand that are paid to like the pages for 1 cent a like.
Did not know that, but
You didn't know that?
I haven't delved that deep
Look,
into it.
I
just know it's not for me.
I looked quite seriously into it. The problem is it completely skews your audience. If I'm marketing properties in Wynnum and Manly here in Brisbane,
Yeah.
and 90% of the people who like my page are in India and Pakistan, Facebook is going to be automatically thinking that if I'm targeting people in Brisbane, I'm reaching out from my core audience. They're going to be charging me more for the ads that I produce, meaning they're less effective per person. It becomes a giant nightmare. You wreck your whole page. Don't buy likes.
No.
Don't buy follows.
No, and it's not worth it at all. Yeah, look, you made a good point about Facebook thinking, oh, why are they wanting to do something else now? And for anyone who is really, really new, like Instagram is owned by Facebook. So if I say Facebook advertising, I mean
Facebook,
both platforms.
Instagram, and what about the third?
The third.
WhatsApp,
or-
yeah,
oh, they
also
have
owned
so
by.
many, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got quite a lot. So they're all just placements, at Instagram advertising is just a placement within Ads Manager. But like the way that I see Facebook is, there's some things that have gone on in the news and whatever. But the way that I put it is that Facebook knows so much about you. Facebook knows the sorts of people that you want to get in front of, and if you're playing their game, if you're riding the wave, you just got to follow their rules, and they'll help lead you to your ideal people. So by that, it's like, no, you don't go and get 10,000 fake likes from the other side of the country when you're, like you said, marketing properties in Wynnum and Manly. You want to connect with as many people in Wynnum and Manly and those areas as you can. Now, I'd rather, if I were in your shoes, I'd rather have 1,000 true people from the Bayside of Brisbane than 500,000 people from like somewhere over the other side of the world, because it makes no sense. It's not gonna.
And Facebook is going to look at that audience that I have and go, okay, you want to advertise to your local people?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like lifting 500 kilograms to get there. Whereas if your native organic audience is 2,500 locals and you're advertising to 25,000 locals, Facebook will go, yeah, it's easy.
Exactly.
Because this is genuine. And you know why Facebook does that? Because Facebook's ultimate goal is to sell more ads to the people who are on Facebook. And if your audience is in India, but you're trying to advertise locally, it's saying that you're irrelevant. And it charges you more to be irrelevant than it does to be relevant. So please be relevant.
Exactly, it makes sense. And we sort of hit on two important points there. So we were talking about likes and follows not meaning as much anymore, and we were talking about making sure you're advertising to the right people. So the other reason why they don't matter as much anymore is, like you said, if you can push out a video, like a real estate video that's to Wynnum and Manly and those types of areas, and people from in and around Brisbane see that video, they're now what we call an engager. So you can then, or a video viewer, so you can make an audience within Facebook based on people who viewed those videos. So
okay, wait a minute. High level tip right here. So you're talking about making a custom audience, are you not?
Yes, exactly.
Rightio. So I'm just going to repeat that because this is really important, and this is what you cannot do with the boost button.
No.
Let's say I make a video about a house in Wynnum and Manly, and let's say 30,000 people from around Brisbane see it. I can now make an audience not only of the people who saw it, but an audience of the people who watched 75% of it.
Yeah.
And guess what? We think those people are engaged in buying houses. And then, when you advertise to them the next time, because Facebook knows they're engaged, they charge you about a third to market to them as they would normally.
Well, that's probably not exactly how it works. The way that I would probably explain it is that they'll find the correct people, but usually engaged audiences cost a little bit more. So if you spray and pray, if you go wide, like very, very wide, not as targeted, that will be very, very cheap. But if they've watched videos, if they're engaged, they will be, like, don't get me wrong, if you're doing it correctly, you'll keep the cost down. But generally an engaged audience is a little bit more than what a interest group is.
It's more to advertise to them,
yes,
but it costs less per result.
Yes, so yeah, CPM wise, so CPM is cost per 1,000 impressions. That's like a standard measurement of marketing. Your CPMs might be higher, but yeah, your click-throughs might be, your click-throughs should be a lot better because they're engaged with you. And that's what you want at the end of the day. You don't necessarily want to reach the most people for the cheapest amount of money. Yes, you do want to reach a lot of people. Yes, you want it to be cost effective, but cost effective doesn't mean like the cheapest per unit, essentially.
Yeah, because then you're advertising to 12-year-olds who like Minecraft.
Exactly.
They're on Facebook all the time.
They can't get a bank loan because they're 12.
Have no jobs. That is not what you want to be doing. Look, you were just talking about something, and we're going to have to edit this because this was really important.
Yeah.
CPM, CTA.
Yep. So CPM is the cost per 1,000 impressions, and so that's just like a standard unit of measurement, I guess. So if you're a Facebook marketer and people are talking about, oh, my CPMs are up, like oh, Facebook's screwing me or something, they might think that there's a change in the algorithm or whatever. Might not actually be that, but that's just like a standard unit of measurement. The other thing that I would be most interested in is CTR, which is your click-through rate. So it means when someone sees your video, your photo, whichever image or whatever ad it is, the percentage of how many of those people are clicking through. And probably the other one that I use to measure my results is cost per click. So if I'm keeping the CPMs, I'm not as worried about, because I would rather my CPMs be higher because I'm reaching better quality of people, and then I'd rather see the cost per click and the click through rate be better. So not to bounce around too much, I'd like to see the cost per click down because it's per click is cheaper, and then I'd like to see the click through rate up because it's a better audience that I'm targeting.
We're talking about another very important Facebook metric that you should know, CTR, or click-through rate. Now, on an average ad for a fishing pole that you might just get sent across your Facebook, the click-through rate is something like 0.5%. But if you have your audience absolutely dead set nailed, I've gotten 8.5, 10.5, my best click-through rate was 13.5%, because we had a killer video that was so engaging in the first 5 seconds. Everyone watched it and everyone clicked through.
Yeah.
Well, 13%.
30%.
That is everyone.
Yeah, no, that's quite good, because I think anything above 5 is like
nailing
pretty
it.
nailing
it.
Yeah. And to be honest, most of the results that we're getting are double digits, so they're up around that 9, 10 and over. But yeah, anything over 5, I see as a good result.
So I was talking about CTR, or click-through rate. And if you're talking about click-through rate, it's really important to talk about where you're clicking through to. So since this podcast is mostly about real estate agents, let's talk about real estate agents. For the ones you're working with, once you've created a video ad or a carousel ad, where do you recommend that the audience that's responding to it clicks through to?
So I would say that from the point of view of the person selling the property, that you probably want to direct them to the company's website or your own personal real estate website, however it's set up. I guess the reason for that is, like, realestate.com's done .com.au, REA.
REA.
Got to stop.
Yeah,
Just say REA. Like I said earlier, they've done an awesome job of just being that like Google search engine, and
they're a behemoth.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd be crazy not to obviously have your property listed there, but they're doing all the heavy lifting. They've done the heavy lifting over however long they've been around to get the attention for you. So I think that what you're better off doing is, because once you sort of put that listing up, like that's it. Obviously you can make changes and whatnot, but you can't choose the audiences that you're targeting and things like that after that listing goes up there. So what I would suggest is to send it to your company's website. So if you're like a Remax agent, like to the listing on there, or if you have a website for yourself, I would suggest to send it there. The reason being is you can then create an audience based on people that viewed properties on that page. You can even target it right down to people who viewed that particular house within the last 7 days or last day or 2 days or whatever you want. And why that's important is that, if they're jumping on to that page, and they're looking at the property there, like they've gone way down the pipeline, like or the funnel, or whatever you want to call it. Like they've gone from someone who's gone, oh, nice video, yeah, all right, oh, okay, I've looked at this second ad that I've been sent, oh yeah, that's right, and they've clicked through, and now they're there and they're viewing the full description of the property and everything to do with it and who to contact. They're the people that you're hoping to get through to an open home. So I just think that because you've got more control over those audiences through Facebook, and you're getting obviously vendors to pay for advertising as well to get that traffic in the first place, I just think that it would be more useful to send it there. I know that people have different opinions on that.
Well, to back what you're saying, realestate.com is going to be advertising other properties that are similar to that house under mine. If I send them to realestate.com, they're showing me the competition's houses. If they're on my website, they're seeing maybe 1 or 2 other of my houses.
Yeah.
But we can also capture their information, can we not? And then perhaps make that house follow them around.
I guess so. There would be a way to do that, but that's kind of what I mean by like making them a web visitor. So and it's all about those custom audiences, because see, to backtrack slightly again, you know, when, like you said, when someone jumps on and watches the video, okay, they're now a video engager. You can make an audience around that. So anytime someone interacts with your page, they haven't liked your page or followed your page, they haven't done that. They've just watched your video, but you can now retarget to them. Same thing as when they jump on your website, you can retarget them. So that's probably to answer your question. Like, yeah, you can do that and make sure that, you know, if they, and you can even get even more clever with it where, okay, they looked at this property, let's send them an ad for the other property because they've jumped another property you got up for sale. Like you said, you might have 4 or 5 houses in the right area. The one that they click through for the ad, they might have liked it, but it might actually be the one for them, and they go, oh, I found something even better here that's in the same area from the same agent. So that's the point I guess I'm trying to make out of all this is, once you sort of once you pay to send that traffic to REA, you just got to let them do their thing.
They're done.
You know, it's
out of your control.
Yeah, and like not in a bad way, because like I said, they've done that great job over years of being the behemoth. But the whole idea of Facebook advertising is that you have control to play with things by the minute. You know, you can be hyper targeted. You can make the audiences. You know, you can you can make sure that you're seeing those really engaged people within your own ecosystem, and which is an asset to not only agents themselves, but it's also an asset to their vendors, because the more you're doing this, the more you're becoming that expert in your area. You're benefiting every single other vendor after you that lists with you by building up that asset, and that's what you should be looking at your pages, the Facebook and Instagram pages, and advertising as assets.
I'm going to speak to the other real estate agents out there, and I'm going to talk from my personal perspective. I love acreage, and I sold about 40 acreage properties in the last town I was working in, and the way we were so effective at selling these large 5-acre, 10-acre, 25-acre homes, sometimes in suburbs that no one had ever heard of, 30 kilometers from town, was to retarget people who had watched our previous acreage videos and engaged with them. So people who liked horses, who liked tack, who liked show jumping, who liked a certain brand of saddles, well, they went into our initial audience. And then when those people also engaged with a real estate video, we captured them in our acreage engagement audience. And then when I listed a brand new house 25 kilometers from town in a suburb called Toonpan that I'd never heard of, even though I'd lived in the town for 13 years, the rest of the real estate agents that appraised that house said it's worth $420,000 because no one will drive all the way out there and no one's even heard of the suburb. Yet we put it on the market for $549 and sold it for $550 in 2 days.
Wow. Because
we had an engaging video, and because we had that built-up audience from 40 acreage properties before that we could target that video directly at. Our first open home, we couldn't even wait for Saturday. We had to hold it Friday night because we were getting swamped with inquiry. We had 32 people through on Friday night at 6 p.m. We had another 40 through on Saturday, and it was sold by Sunday with 5 offers on it. But you can't do that with the boost button.
No, and it's a great point that you make about when you said, because you've done this with 40 properties before. So I'll touch on another sort of scenario here too, is that, and this can be agents, this can be anyone that's like wondering how to, you know, make Facebook and social media and all that like effective to them. You've got people in a few different categories. You've got people who are, you know, they've not seen the use for it. Like they might have been successful business owners for 20, 30 years and they've never needed it. Or there might be people that just don't, you know, they just don't believe in it for some reason. They're the people that I'm not as interested in having the conversation with, because I know what it can do. I want to be helpful to other people's businesses, and if I'm having this like wrestle over whether it works or not, it's a bit hard. And then you've got other people who are like, oh, I tried it, but it didn't work. And it's like, but what did you do? And they're like, I pressed the boost button.
Ooh,
I'm like,
again, I need the air horn.
It's 2-stroke oil in the Lambo, mate.
It's no good.
Do you know what I mean? So, but then when you do it effectively, the next thing is, how long did you allow it to take before you went, no, this doesn't work? How long were you doing it the correct way until you went, no, it doesn't work, and you threw it in? I guarantee you, a lot of people didn't advertise 40 properties and then continually put video viewers from the you know, the 21 and the 22 and the 23 and the 24 properties before all the way down. Because that's one of the things that I've seen has made the most difference with people that I've advertised for, is that when we started off, it's like, you know, getting somewhere. What can we tweak? Next property, it's like, okay, you know, starting to see some results here. Mind you, we're using the correct practices the whole way through, but it's of the quality of your ad account, because you need to give, like, even when you run one single ad, there's a learning phase to the ad where Facebook's like, what is this person trying to do? And as long as you're giving them the right information, Facebook will learn. But over a period of time, they're like, oh yeah, Rob, he sells acreage property in outside of town. There you go, send it straight there.
Turbocharged. And guess what? My ad gets approved in 10 seconds, whereas it might take 10 hours for someone else.
It could do. And I'm speaking in, like, you know, I guess complete layman terms there, but that's like as simple as it, you know, needs to be explained. But where I've seen results is, and we're not talking years, like we're talking weeks and months, like you can start to see the effects. You know, the CP, the cost per clicks, I saw come down from like $1 to like 8 cents. You know, I saw click-through rates go from 4 and 5 up to 12 and 13 and 15. You know, and it's like, what have we done differently? It's like, well, you know, we've changed some targeting, we've added people into our audiences that were already engaged. That's the key thing, is people who are already engaged. We've kept, you know, doing that, and you need to think about what property is, and you need to think about what Facebook can be used for. So because we've advertised for e-commerce, and I've got a lot of friends that like I said, do that high level e-commerce stuff as well. E-commerce is something where it's a very, very direct, tangible metric from how much money did I put in, how much money did I make, because everyone's basically buying off Facebook traffic or Google traffic, any type of digital traffic. Whereas with real estate, people don't buy houses every week. You know, people do buy clothes every couple of weeks. Like, some people buy clothes a couple of times a week. You know, for the people and the Facebook are going to find those people and send them ads because they know they're going to buy the clothes because they can't help themselves.
Guilty.
You know, so I'm not one of those people, but that's but the point I'm trying to make is, like, you know, people aren't buying houses every week. It's a long process. So why would you want to kneecap yourself by tapping out at 6 or 12 months when you know that I mean, you could probably help me out with stats here, but you know, from the time someone goes, I want to buy a house, and then to actually buying a house, it could be a couple of years.
It could be 3 months. It could be 6 months. I'd say the average is probably 6 to 12 months.
There you go.
Look, to really distill this point you're trying to make into one awesome takeaway for the audience, I would say it's like investing. If you're able to invest in Amazon.com back in 2002, look at how your investment will have grown until today. Well, guess what? If you run your own business, it is time in 2020 to invest in yourself immediately, because the results you'll be getting in 2021 and 2025 are multiples of what you'll be getting if you don't start until 2024.
And the thing is a kind of a thought that I had about today, you know, we're only less than 2 weeks away from this decade ending, which is a strange thing to be saying.
Very weird. I feel old.
Weird. Yeah. I'm suddenly feeling very old as well. But it sort of made me think, like, how I've sort of seen social media involved from a consumer standpoint, and then from being involved in the industry, is I think that this decade has been like a really interesting learning phase. Like, the average people, and by average I mean people that don't do social media marketing or anything for a job, they're quite in tune with it. Like, it's almost a skill that a lot of people have. They might not really use it for anything else, but they're just taking a few nice photos or videos themselves when they go out or something like that, which is fine. But everyone kind of knows about it. It's gone through this learning phase. Now's the time to, like, be really professional about it and have a think about, okay, like, for the last 10 years people have been like, oh, it does social media do this, or should I have a personal brand on social media, or, you know, should I be looking at avenues like that? Now it's like, it's fact. Let's
it is dead set proven at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the wealthiest people on the planet are social media influencers. And recently I read, and the kids are way ahead of us here, that children between the age of 10 and 15, the number 2 thing they want to be on the planet is an influencer, and the number 3 thing they want to be is a YouTuber. Man,
it's kind of the same thing, 2 and 3. They're just about one's just a platform for the other.
They're ahead of the game. They're ahead of us, and they know. And holy smokes, when they take control in 15 years, if you're not on.
And do you know why that's interesting? Because they know no different. I come from an age where if you weren't getting kicked out of grade 12, going to uni or getting an apprenticeship, they were like, your life's over. And I've done neither. But like, I just don't think that those 2 options are as viable as what they were back then. I still think that they're good ideas, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to rubbish that at all, because you see a lot of people that get trades, go to uni, things like that. But then there's this thing over there to the side that you can do that was never there before. It was just work your job at 9 to 5, that's it. Like, that's the only way that you can make money or have influence. But now, social media and everything like that, the game's changed. So I don't think it's outrageous for these kids to be in their teens going, I'm going to start a YouTube channel about this thing and I'm going to find a way to make money off it. Great.
One of the wealthiest YouTubers on the planet is 8.
Is it the kid that reviews the toys?
He unboxes toys.
Yeah.
And granted, he's got some help, but he makes more money per video than anyone else on Earth. That's number 1 out of 7 billion.
Yeah.
Or so.
So there's a few things to consider there. He's 8. Obviously, parents have helped him. Good on the parents.
Yeah.
You know what? Good on them. Because they're setting that kid up. What happens to him down the track? That's another...
Is it going to be like child stars in the 80s?
Like
it's YouTube stars in the 2000s?
It could be, but the thing is, like, that kid's doing way better than me right now, and I'm 22 years older than him.
Shout out to that kid.
Good on you.
Like, you want to come on the podcast, dude? You can unbox toys here.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think that because those kids, they're uninhibited by the, but no, you should do this, because none of their friends are doing that. All their friends are wanting to do the same thing. Like, it's like they've got the blinkers on, but they don't know any different. But I do think that sort of thing still needs to be approached with an element of reality, because it's no different from, me growing up wanting to play cricket for Australia or something like that. Like, the chances of that actually happening, even if I put in the work, which I didn't, but even if you put in all the work, it still doesn't happen. Like, you still got to have a lot of things go your way. So, yeah, like, there is this thing there that's changing and is an opportunity. But yeah, let's try and deploy reality to the scenario and be smart about it. Well, the thing is, it's an overwhelmingly hard thing. I think that people underestimate how hard it is to gain like a following and to be consistent and to always be making content. Because if you talk to the and you don't have to talk to them, you just watch their shows or whatever. Like the Logan Pauls and Jake Paul, I think it was Logan Paul said on a. If you don't know him, he was.
Is he the party guy?
It's funny because I don't really know how to describe him. Like, he's just a YouTube guy. He makes funny videos.
Okay.
I think he was on Disney. His brother was on Disney. He's got a twin brother.
Okay.
Anyway, Logan was saying something I caught recently about how just content like consumed his life, but that was his life. Like, so you can imagine, someone that works in real estate. Like, it is their life because you're up early, then you're at home late making calls and doing things like that. So imagine that for someone like him. Like, it's no different. Everyone, they're still putting in the same hours. They're still investing in equipment. They're trying to get skills in that. So, yeah, I'm not someone who's ready to just knock everyone that does that, So it's like, good on you for having the courage to put your stuff out there.
Influencer has become sort of a bad word in our society because there are those that show up at a 5-star hotel in Bali and demand free rooms. And
yes.
Look, influencer is a good thing. If you can be an influencer, look, Greta Thunberg is an influencer and she's doing amazing things. David Attenborough is an influencer. All right, let's get off philosophy and talk about something practical. On your Facebook, you basically have 2 different streams. You've got your personal page and you've got your business page. As a beer company owner or a real estate agent, should you be using your personal page to tie to your business, or should you leave that only for the business?
I feel like those lines are very blurred now. So when you look at, so something that I don't know if you know is I did have a go at real estate at one stage. I never sold a property. I worked in real estate for about 6 weeks, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, chewing
Wow.
up and spat me out. It's pretty brutal, man.
It's
yeah.
the world's best job and
Yeah.
the world's worst job.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, things didn't work out there, which was fine. I know it's all good, but something that they were telling us at the time, which was back in 2015, it was like, don't post anything on your personal Facebook page about work. And I understand that because people are maybe there for different reasons, but I think that those lines are quite blurred now, because people message me on my private accounts like about work because they know what I do. And like, why would I not share what I do? Because I love it, you know. So that's what I would say is that, like, it doesn't really matter these days. And yeah, like, if you're doing what you love, you're being yourself, you're sharing authentically, like, that's just personal branding 101. I don't really see why you can't post things on your personal page that you wouldn't on your business page. You know, obviously you don't want to be extremely salesy. I think that's really, even though that's a general term, but I mean, if you've just sold a property and you're ecstatic about the result, why wouldn't you share that? It's no different from someone coming home and showing a photo of their dog because they're happy to see their dog and they take a photo. Like, I just don't see the difference.
You know, I would totally agree, because you are your brand, and especially us in real estate, it's all good to be part of RE/MAX, but people don't necessarily go, hey, I want a RE/MAX agent. I wish they did. But people go out and they want the person that they're comfortable with and familiar with and that they know.
Exactly.
And if you have 3,000 personal Facebook friends that once or twice or 5 times a month see you selling something, well, they're going to know that at the next barbecue they go to, when their friend says, oh man, I'm getting a divorce from the misso, I've got to sell the house, is there anyone you trust?
Yeah.
There's that guy that's their friend that doesn't sell their houses all the time on their personal feed, but that celebrates their wins with their families on their personal feed. And you get that call out. Now, since we're talking about your business, is something that Narrative Hub does coach people on what to post on their personal page, what to post on their business page?
I guess, look, we don't necessarily coach people, but like, every client that I have, you know, I'm as invested in their business as they are. You know, I want to see them succeed, and I'm not the type to, like, you know, not reveal how to do things and go, oh, you have to pay me to do that or something like that. Obviously, we have agreements in place and things like that, and we work within that. But yeah, I'll mention to them, hey, like, try and do this instead of this, or things like that. So yeah, it's not like a consulting or coaching service as such. But definitely any client I take on, I'm going to show them what the best practices are. You know, I'm going to be like, okay, we don't do this for you, but you know, if you want to do this yourself, I would do these things, because I want to see them succeed.
Absolutely. Or you could say, hey, look, I've seen this guy who does similar things to you over in Western Australia. We're helping him out. In your market, this might work extremely well.
Yeah. Oh, I love to have, you know, those conversations, because it's fulfilling for me when someone calls up and goes, you know, I've such and such has been doing this, what do you think of that? I'm like, yeah, actually that's a really good idea, you know. And if I was to do it about you, I would suggest doing things this way. The brewery podcast is probably a really good example. There's a guy, when I got approached about doing the podcast, they're like, you know, we want you to host it and this, that, and I'm like, wow, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I reached out to a guy called Craig, who hosts the Beer and Other Shit podcast.
Beer and Other Shit?
Yeah.
Shout out to Craig. Beer and Other Shit.
BAOS, the BAOS podcast, as it's referred to as well. Because I was like, man, who else does this? And I reached out to him. He's an Australian guy but lives in Canada, and I was just messaging him on Instagram, and he sort of talked me through a few things, and I watched some episodes, and then I got some ideas, and I was able to take that forward to them. So yeah, look, I'm always trying to educate myself on what people are doing. I'm quite observant of what, you know, other people are doing, and, you know, ideas that we can take from there and make our own. And then I've also got my ideas on the best practices that we would always do, and I try to incorporate that and give that to my clients. So
Okay, well, that's on your personal page, right? That's what we were talking about. What about your
yeah.
business page? If
Yeah.
if I am a real estate agent that is damn good at selling houses, but not really familiar with Facebook, but I want to jump on the Facebook bandwagon, can your team create content to go out 3 to 5 times a week for me to really make me look current?
Yeah.
Keep me top of mind.
Yeah,
That's really
top
what
of
I'm
mind,
looking
yeah.
top of mind.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, absolutely. No. To answer your question, yes, absolutely. So that's probably the other thing that we haven't spoken about is like, okay, you want to make content, you understand that it takes time, it needs to be professional. That's probably the only thing I would say is on your personal page, you can be less professional, like as in the photos that you post don't have to be properly retouched or all that kind of thing. I mean, if you're going and putting up a sold sticker and you take a selfie, like that's probably I would suggest go and do that.
Clean your lens.
Yes, clean your lens.
You just wipe the
Yeah.
fingerprint off your lens before taking those selfies.
Yeah.
It makes anyone look like a pro these days.
Yeah, it sucks when it's like all misty and stuff. But yeah, like that's fine. But to do that, but like you can be less professional, I suppose, on your personal page. But on that business page, I would suggest that all the images and videos you put up are quite polished and look professional. That's probably something I'd always want to do on your business page, especially on Instagram. Facebook probably get away with it a little bit more, but Instagram, high quality photos is really important. And for a number of our clients, we'll do photos, video, everything like that monthly. For real estate agents, there's probably no better way than just like committing to say 2-3 hours a month where we can come in, shoot some content, take some photos and then give them to you. So you can either post it yourself or we can distribute it for you and then do all the ad spend behind it, things like that. And I find that that's a good way because you might be talking to someone and like, I know that real estate agents are busy. That's one thing I try to be empathetic towards is like, I have my ideas, but what do you actually need? Like, what's the problem you're having? The problem is time poor and obviously always chasing listings is probably the two
That
things.
is the number one thing that a real estate agent will tell you is I just am so good at selling, but I'm looking for that new business.
Exactly. And to be fair, it is a game where you're always chasing. Like it's great when you get referrals and that, but even still, when you sell a place, you still need a referral. You need to get a listing. So it's like it's a cycle. So the thing is, if you can commit to a certain amount of time per month, we can make a certain amount of content for you, distribute it for you, do the ads, things like that. And I find that that's better because, it just takes away all that hassle. If we're working with you, we're looking at planning, like what we're actually going to talk about with your input, of course. We need that engagement there, but it's like, okay, we're starting off, like I've just had a new client that we're starting off with sort of this month and next month to get the ball rolling, and it's like logo, website, branding, photos.
You guys do websites as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So branding, photos, and the first video, I'm like, okay, first video is an agent profile video. That's that top of funnel piece of content that we go, all right, we put ad spend behind that and we try and get the correct people in the area to see that. Now you're an engager. Now you're in an audience, you know what I mean? So then when we start doing the property listing videos, we've already actually got some people that engage with that profile video. Now granted, a lot of those people might just be friends and family, but that's where we need to start. And then it's like, okay, what are we doing next month? And it's like, well, sold 2 properties last month, want to just quickly chat about those. So the beauty is we've already got the property video. We can perhaps have a chat with the vendor about how it went, cut that in, or just even a chat outside the house with the agent saying what happened. And then it's like, what's coming up for this month? What movements are being made in the market? And then the next month might be, hey, I've got these couple of colleagues that would be really great to talk to and just give their insight. Why don't we just sit down with them for an hour like we are here and chat? We can get content out of that. Have a look at what you're spending and see what you can spend in digital and then see what results you get, because the results you can get for such a small amount of money are amazing. And it's things like billboards and whatnot, like they work because you get people see them. It's all about just being seen wherever you are. It's just that a lot of those forms of advertising are very expensive, and you just don't have the control that Facebook gives you. So, And that's why it's really good for agents that are starting out as well, because they might not be able to go into a listing presentation with the budget for a print ad, or they might not have the budget for a print ad for themselves for their personal brand. But I'm sure they can afford to do an agent profile video and try and send it out to as many people as possible in their area. So
if you've been listening to the whole podcast so far and you don't think this guy knows what he's talking about by now, we're never going to convince you. We're just not. All right, so why don't we wrap up and talk about going forward into 2020? Why don't you give us 3 hot tips for your own personal profile or branding, or something that you see as an up-and-coming trend that people should be aware of going into the new decade?
Well, I think I probably touched on it a little bit earlier in that we've gone past that whole learning stage, or we're right at the very end of that learning stage in social media. So I just think if you're not doing video, if you're not investing in your personal brand, if you're not trying to make digital assets for yourself, like, start, because it'll be harder. It'll get harder and harder for you as the time goes on. But there's still plenty of opportunity. So I think there's that. I think the other thing is that because of that learning stage being over, anyone you talk to from any walk of life, most people understand social media to some degree. They know when people are trying to sell to them and things like that. What you have to do in this age is just be yourself. I know that's a real cliche thing, but people see through it now more than ever. And that whatever flew in the last decade with faking it till you make it and all that sort of stuff, and trying to pretend to be someone you're not, that's not going to work.
The buzzwords going forward for the next year are going to be integrity and authenticity with videos and with social media. And for myself, look, I'm a little bit weird, and I attract clients that like someone that's a little bit outside the box. And it really, really works for me. And if you want to drill deep into being yourself on video, check out episode 2 with Candace Arlott. We talked about that specific subject for an entire hour.
Actually, the other thing, now that I mention it, that where you can differentiate is that, we spoke about the engagement going down and things like that. The way that you can differentiate is to do your advertising right. Like we said earlier, if you buy a Lambo but don't put fuel in it, it's not going anywhere. So I think most people get by now, video and high quality photos are very important, but it's making sure you've got the right fuel in the car. That's probably the other thing, because when likes and follows and that start not meeting as much, when engagement starts to go down, the power is to be doing your Facebook advertising correctly. That's where the cream will rise to the top. That's probably actually the better thing that I can leave you with, rather than just the authenticity and integrity, which is obviously quite important.
It's important, but there's authentic people with integrity out there that aren't being seen because they're not Facebook Inception 40 video targeted audience deep like we are these days. And if you don't start in 2020, by the time it's 2022, there's going to be people so far ahead of you, you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah, and there's probably brings me to another couple other things. I'm just happy to see people have a crack at it. I hope I haven't come across too hypercritical about things, because I just love seeing people having a go. It doesn't have to be real estate, whatever their business is. I'm like, oh cool, they've found a way to, for instance, a company in Brisbane, YP Threads, they make all the party shirts. They just make hilarious videos that make me want to buy their shirts.
Shout out to YP Threads, come on the podcast.
Yeah, so those guys make really engaging content, and it's I remember I saw one of their videos, and it was a year later. I was like, okay, I'm buying these pants now. I know, I just know I'm going to go buy them because I want them. So that's the kind of thing is have a crack, because you just don't know where it will lead you. You got to allow things to evolve. It's probably the other thing that I can say.
And let's talk about it not being easy when you start. I'm sure you get a lot of new clients that have never done a video before, and it's sort of like driving a Lamborghini for the first time, man. If you get behind this incredibly powerful vehicle, and you're used to being in the newspaper, you're going to feel awkward, you're going to feel uncomfortable, and something that working with a professional like Matt can do for you is edit out the mistakes. Edit out the mistakes and guide you through the process so that you feel confident. Because I guarantee you, the first one you're going to feel weird.
Yeah.
The second one, it's going to be a bit better. But by the time you're in the 10th, 20th, 30th one, not only are you going to be more comfortable, you're going to have 30 stacks of positive feedback powering you on to do that next video, and you're going to feel $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just think that it is quite hard, and like we do a lot of agent profile videos, and then there'll be the agents talking to the camera, and one of the first thing I say to them is like, it's hard. I get it, 100%, because it is. Like, people can be the greatest talkers on the planet. Once you point a camera at them with a little red light on, it just changes. So that's the thing. It's not easy. So yeah, I do definitely coach people through that, because I don't go, oh, it's easy, just do it. It's not. You point that camera, it's a whole different thing. So yeah, when I get people to do the videos, that's why we try and plan as much as possible. That's the first thing. You plan as much as you can, because that way you're not having to run and do things off the cuff. It's always good to ad lib where you can, but if you've got a structure of how it's supposed to go, it makes it a lot better.
When we make videos, it's going to be seat of your pants. You're going to love it.
But
However,
if that's how you do it, then that's great.
And I'm now 56 videos in, so I can do that. There's no way I could do that. I mean, my first videos were taking me 3.5 hours to film. My current videos take me 20 minutes to film. Same size house, because I can just go in there and know what to say and be confident and walk through it. But yeah, when you're first starting, biggest tip. Hire a professional. They'll guide you through it. They'll walk you through it. They'll make you feel good about yourself. They'll make you look fantastic. You'll gain the confidence. And God, it makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
I was really lucky. The way I got into this business and became successful and became comfortable on camera is I had a professional like you approach me and say, look, I'm a videographer. I will change your business. You need to come try this with me. And I was just very lucky that I encountered this guy, because 2 years deep, it's a totally different game.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And had you not taken that opportunity, then it could have been a whole lot different.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this up. As I always say, thank you so much for tuning in. Visit our sponsors. Get yourself a fat neon sign, or go to bouncecoffee.com and grab yourself some Liquid Speed extra high caffeine coffee, roasted fresh this week out of Townsville. You will thank yourself. Matt, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
Absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
Stay targeted.